Hello everybody and welcome to the ninth round of the UK&I Radical Race Series here from Hockenheim. We go to Europe for the first time in 6 weeks in this championship, to the Hockenheim ring of course. Not the full version that goes out towards the forest of course, but the more common modern day GP circuit, which is still turning into an absolute classic. Great overtaking opportunities everywhere, and you don't really need much of an opportunity in this series to make a move, so we're expecting good racing once more. The question so far in this season has been who can stop Simon Edwards, really, because he's finished in the top 2 in all 8 of the first races so far in this season. However, that is going to change here this week because he is not attending the race at Hockenheim, and so will be taking a bit of a hit in his championship lead. It currently stands at 92 points ahead of Paul LeMay, but he's not going to be extending that today, we'll put it that way. Yeah, who's going to be taking the victory on this occasion? It's going to be our third different winner of the season, since the other 2 are not here. Let's find out who it is going to be. My name is Ewan O'Leary, I'm alongside Steve Proudley for this one, and it's a kind of trip into the unknown for everybody today, because a lot of people have got a chance of winning this race, whereas they hadn't before when Simon Edwards has been here, absolutely destroying the field really, so who knows what surprises tonight is going to throw up.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it, buddy, this evening with Simon Edwards not attending this one. It's going to really sort of open it up at the front because he's been pretty dominant in the previous rounds, it has to be said. Hockenheim, I think it's going to be a track that lends itself to the cars staying close together as well. Lots of slipstream opportunities and not too many sort of tight twisty bits where they can sort of make a break for it, as it were. So I think it's going to be some good racing tonight, and qualifying is actually just about to get underway, so we might just jump over to quali.
Yes, it's back to the normal, or I believe anyway, back to the normal 3 laps and you're out kind of format, which I'm a fan of. I've got to be honest, I'm a fan of that format. That's a good idea. 10 minutes as well if you need them. But it's not likely. You're not likely to struggle for track space here either, really, because I think there's only 19 cars on the grid here today. For whatever reason, Hockenheim not a overly popular circuit for whatever reason. As I was saying just before we came on air, not the oldest track that iRacing has got. It's relatively new to the service, but probably not actually that new anymore, if you see what I mean. Time passes by quite quickly, and so people will be very accustomed to it at this point. But yeah, clearly not everyone is really fancying this one. But, no, it's a nice circuit. It's one that you can struggle to get on with, a little bit stop and start in places, but also got some nice flowing sections as well. So I find it a difficult one to get a handle of. And of course, it's also not been around. It's not as historical as some other circuits on this calendar, given that we used to go all the way into the forest, of course. But we're not quite doing that today because, well, for one, that will be a real mess into the first chicane, for example. Down that long straight, or with all these cars bunched up together, maybe we don't really want to see that.
No, it's going to be a good one. Qualifying is going to be important, I think, this evening as ever, but it's going to be more so. I think they're going to have to be, the man at the front or the woman at the front is going to really want to put on a bit of a show and try and make a break for it. But as I said earlier, I think that's going to be very, very difficult tonight, because I think. Once they get in that slipstreaming scenario, I think they're going to really hang on to the back of each other, and it's going to be whether they start playing tactics and just stay behind each other, or whether they try and make a move and move up the field, as it were, or just stay tucked in and play a strategy game. It's going to be an interesting one.
It is indeed. Paul LeMay makes his way into the it's called the Mercedes Arena, I suppose, but it's not really quite the same as the Nürburgring Mercedes Arena, which really is. As the word suggests. But out of that section there and onto the red curbing on the outside line there, the sausage curb. He's got all out of shape over that, but still going. Not tarmacked everywhere around the outside of this circuit, thankfully. Holding on to some grass and gravel, which we're a fan of course. Adding to that little bit of danger and that little bit of a challenge for these guys. So Graham Brown, who tops the standings first of all, he's the first man over the line, and he would actually top the practice session before this qualifying session, so he's clearly going well. Was challenged by Clark there, but has been overhauled by Booker in this first run. Martina Ward starts up into 4th position, and it looks like Paul LeMay actually had an off-track in that. It must have been through that off-track run through turn 10 there, where he just went off onto the red curbing on the outside line. It's cost him quite badly there, but as long as he gets the final lap really hooked up very well, I think he will be okay, because as we keep saying time and time again, they just get faster and faster in these sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing's ever really sorted out, is it, until the very last throws of qualifying, and we see sometimes change usually in the last couple of laps, last couple of minutes, as it were, and it's whoever uses those laps wisely, because it's no mean feat to go out there on limited laps and hit that perfect time. It is very, very difficult, and these people, these chaps, these guys and girls, they put in so much practice and to put on a good show for us, and to try and get that optimum time. Yeah, it's a real pressure cooker, I think.
Graham Brown was initially top, but he's been displaced by Booker and Boosen now. 2 tenths adrift of the front running car back through the final corner as things stand, and he's going to go up towards the line. It's probably going to be quicker here, just to the fact that they're going to get quicker, and there you are, and that's a low 32. We're going to easily see 31s by the end of this though. Going maybe towards the mid to low 31s if they really get a shift on. Paul Clark, third in the championship, moves up to second briefly, and then he's pushed back down to third, and that's exactly what we mean. Graham Brown immediately making amends and slotting himself into second, giving himself a great chance there of this pole position. It's all about this final lap though. He's got to get this right over the next minute and a half. I'll say that. He's gone straight back to the pit lane. A hundredth of a second down on Paul LeMay, but Graham Brown, I'm afraid, has gone back to the pit lane, and so that is going to be the end of his qualifying session. I think that is a real shame to see for him, because he's going to miss out on his best run here. He might well drop outside the top 5 even with this final run happening for everybody else. He may well drop down a great deal here, which is not what you want to see. Sergio De La Cruz gets up into 8th position there. Richard Brown currently watching 13th. Yeah, costly for Graham Brown there to be dropping all the way down. It will be anyway when we see everybody come over the line. Let's see though, as we get into the final few corners. Martin Booker is here, so Paul LeMay and Paul Clark. They're all in a very similar place on this track. LeMay obviously trying to hold on to this front running spot he's found himself in with that low 32. You can see a lot of 31s coming in here though, as Paul Clark goes over the line. Now where is this going to put him? Doesn't look like it's much of an improvement at all. It's third place. Paul LeMay is going to be over the line now, and what can he do? But as Booker slots himself up the order, 15 thousandths of a second down. Paul LeMay can't really get anywhere there at all as Michael LeMay comes over the line. So very, very minimal improvements coming in late on. Darrell Taylor may be over the line. Can he get himself into the top 6? He can. 6th place, that's much more like the improvement we come to expect in the final run, but these improvements have been very, very small for a third run, and in the end we stay in the 32s for our pole position time. A little bit surprising there, but very, very close between the top 5 especially.
Yeah, very close, and that's going to set it up for a fantastic race, isn't it? I mean, we see quite often the top 5 are always, very, very close together, but it's going to set us up for a good race. It's going to set us up for a really good slipstream train, potentially of 5, 6, 7 cars maybe for the first few laps, and we'll see who can hang on to the back of each other. But it certainly looks like Paul LeMay's got that pole position at the moment. There's not very many cars left on track to challenge him at this time.
Absolutely not. Ray Pearsley is one of them. He's still got one more lap to go here, so we know we'll get another look at him later as James Child comes over the line to complete his run. Very solid last couple of weeks really, but outside the top 10 here in qualifying, where he's used to being. He's qualified in the same place he is in the championship as with the very suspicious symmetry there, but there we are. Graham Brown in the 63. This is not the one who's 4th place in the championship, a little bit further down for this Graham Brown as he comes through the final corner right now. 18th place currently in the standings, out of 19 of course. Christopher Kane, you can see, bring up the rear. So Brown, who jumps himself up very nicely though, solid improvement to 12th place. And 15th place, Ray Pearsley is the final man to finish his lap times, or finish his run. Christopher Kane didn't end up doing all of his free runs, neither did Mike Booser, and I think he suffered quite badly from that. So did the 13 Graham Brown, the one 4th placed in this championship, probably suffered in terms of track position from those final runs as well. So yeah, a few losers from that one. But Ray Peasley here's put himself in with a solid chance of a top 10 here. He really is going to need to pull out all the stops to do that by taking nearly a second out of his time. But you never know. This car only gets fat. Well, he's not going to do it quite like that. A little bit wide through the penultimate corner, I'm afraid. Not quite onto the drag strip on the outside line, but he is still a little bit wide, and this might not be too much of an improvement at all. Still manages to get himself up into 14th, but not quite the top 10. So qualifying's over. Top 6 separated by less than 2/10 of a second, which is very nice to see. But a few more mistakes in this final run. I feel like maybe at the Hockenheim it's a little bit easier to get an off track than it is at some other circuits, especially with thinking turn 1 and turn 10, where you can run over those sausage curves very, very easily indeed and maybe pick up an off track.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be it's going to be interesting. It's going to they're going to have to be careful. Like you said, there is some areas where they can abuse the track limits or optimise the track limits, shall we say? And yeah, we don't want any slowdowns because that's just going to wreck races. And it's going to be interesting. The curbs as well. I'm not sure if they'll play much of an effect with the cars handling as well. We may see some incidents and accidents with the curbs because there's a lot of curbs around here and a lot of, like you said, there will be a lot of the cars using them.
Yeah, absolutely. Where they've got plenty of grass and gravel around the place, but where they haven't, they've just put sausages in the way, and they're quite hard, and you don't want to hit them. So anyway, we'll get towards the grid now because the cars are getting themselves ready. So Paul LeMay is going to be leading them off here once again. Second place in the championship, ahead of Martin Booker. Graham Brown's alongside Paul Clark on the second row. Mike Booson rounding up the top 5. Darrell Taylor, good performance from him there to get himself into 6th. Then a bit of a gap back to Dave Kirkman and Michael LeMay on row 4. Sergio Cruz, the biggest mover forward in the championship after the last round, is in 9th. Of Colin Wynne rounding out the top 10. Martina Ward, solid performance from her in qualifying, 11th place, as the other Graham Brown is in 12th. They're sharing the 6th row of the grid. James Child is 13th, maybe a bit disappointed for him, especially given his Suzuka performance. Ray Peasley is 14th, he's the final one to come over the line after all those qualifying times. Richard Brown running out the top 15, ahead of Guy Robertson. Tim Adcock, Phil Jocelyn and Christopher Kane rounding out your 19-car grid for this race here tonight. So, you guys are getting ready to go racing here at Hockenheim. The 5 lights are coming on, and round 9 of the UK and Ireland Radical Race Series is underway. Martin Booker with a great start on the inside line. Paul LeMay going backwards as Brown also gets through. So it's Martin Booker and Graham Brown 1-2 right now because Paul LeMay has had an absolute shocker of a start there, I'm afraid. He's down to 3rd already. Clark is trying to fend himself here for 4th place. The side-by-side between Taylor and Booson for 5th is still ongoing behind, but still getting quite stretched out, especially at the front of the field, going down towards the hairpin, where we are likely to see a lot of action, a lot of dives, and one of them's going to come from Graham Brown, who's going to try and get down the inside of Martin Booker, is he, or not? He's just going to stay behind for the moment as Booker goes a little bit wide. This is the craziness, a little bit back in the back. Look at the dive from James Child. It was trying to make up places. It didn't turn out very well. He's gone for a half spin and he's got back going again, thankfully. Side by side even still between Booson and Taylor. A very, very lively start indeed, but a disastrous one for Paul LeMay. And it's not over as there's a spinner. It's Mike Booson who's been tipped around by Dave Kirkman. What a chaotic start this one is.
Yeah, absolutely action all over the field tonight, and certainly getting a little bit too close for comfort there as they were all going into the first lap there, and we're still seeing a lot of side-by-side action. We've got Richard Brown here looking to make a move on Colin Wynne, but he's just getting dropped off the back of him ever so slightly now. But if we move back up to Darrell Taylor, he's under pressure from behind and looking to just need to settle down, need to get into that rhythm and try and sort of just get into that race rhythm and get settled into a pace and just yeah, all the early moves are just a little bit ambitious, shall we say.
So the front 4 are certainly keeping things a little bit more sensible because they've got 3.5 seconds over the rest of the field already. That is a remarkable gap, and you better hope that the championship contenders are not caught behind that. But thankfully, the likes of Graham Brown and Paul LeMay and Paul Clark, they've all managed to get themselves up towards the front and in that first group, that front 4. Martin Booker is also there, 7th place in the championship. and he's only 20 points or so off a fourth, so he could definitely get up the order with a performance like this one. A little bit further down, 3 wide moments already, almost going on here. As we see, I think Richard Brown has gone for a spin here somewhere because he's dropping down. Oh dear! Somebody going up and over, and it's all been going on down the hairpin. I'm afraid there's going to be a lot of replays to grab in a few moments' time because this is chaotic further down the field. Tim Adcock was involved in that battle with Guy Robson, and it's already going on up front. Look at this. And Tim Adcock maybe, and it's over. 2 cars going over at the hairpin. I've never seen anything quite like that. Tim Adcock maybe decided, distracted possibly by the first one, causing another roll for another driver there. That was not what you want to see at all. And I think Christopher Kane is out as a direct result of all of that chaos down there on lap 2.
Yeah, for sure, absolute chaos and bedlam, and that's just wrecked a couple of races there. And just looking at the moment, we've got Darrell Taylor here still putting the pressure on Sergio up ahead of him and looking to try and gain that 5th position. The slipstream is really playing a massive effect here, and it's just a shame the guys are tripping over each other and not really being able to work with it, because as you said, it is really certainly splitting the field up, and the front guys are sort of are opening up a healthy gap now back to the rest of the field, and it really is it's a battle of attrition at the moment.
Look at that, 3 drivers in the pit lane. I think Tim Adcock will be following them because he hit one of the cars very hard indeed. As up to Graham Brown, who's biding his time at the moment and maybe getting away from the madness, which is happening a little bit further down, trying to keep this race within his control. And who has pitted then? Very short pit stops. Zoom using the fast repair there for Richard Brown, James Child, Michael LeMay and Tim Adcock. Maybe, as Martin Booker goes a little bit wide here, and maybe Brown has the opportunity on the switchback line through turn 10, inside for turn 11, and this is going to be the moment for the 13 car down the inside for Brown, and he's into the lead. That was fairly easy in the end. Martin Booker's mistake making that one a slam dunk, really.
Darrell Taylor still pushing hard, trying to get that 5th place, just running a little bit wide there as we saw. He's trying to make a move forward, and he's looking, he's getting more and more impatient with every twist of the track, and he's really pushing. I think he's definitely got the pace. He's just got to try and get that opportunity, try and work that opportunity. But there are still a few battles up and down the field, and I'm just trying to keep an eye on who's closest at the moment. And we've got Kirkman here as well on Jocelyn, trying to make a move, and he's trying to move up into what is P10, going side by side into T1. That's never going to work, and he just sensibly backs out of it a little bit, but he's lost himself some ground there.
Yeah, he certainly has. He probably should have backed out of it maybe a little bit earlier, but look at the amount of bent panels and rear wings and front ends and all sorts going on here. Mike Booson has been involved in incidents today. As I said, didn't qualify that well because he didn't get his 3rd lap in, then didn't have a fantastic start, and then that's what happens when you get yourself in the pack, as meanwhile up front it's a little bit calmer, a little bit easier to control. Paul LeMay is going to try and get through on Booker here, who's made another mistake here on consecutive laps. Outside line for LeMay. Is he going to break early and go for the switchback line? Well, I think he intended to, but Booker shut him out quite well there. These two have got to be careful also that it doesn't just apply in big groups like we've got in the mid-pack, or did have a little bit earlier. It applies in smaller ones like the trio we have up front right now. If you battle too much, then you are going to lose the leader. And that's what Paul LeMay has just got to be careful of.
Yeah, just an issue there for Kirkman, just getting a tap around, and that's probably picked up quite a bit of damage to the rear end of the car, but very unlucky there, and just a little bit of misjudgment on the braking from Jocelyn behind, I think.
Yeah, just easy to do really. But there we are, out in the battle for 5th position at the moment. You can see this is a lot more stretched out now. Which some people will be thankful for. Guy Robertson, by the way, has come and stuck somewhere in the final sector. He's dropping down to 14th place now, the last of the cars that hasn't been into the pit lane yet in this one. We go on board with Darrell Taylor, trying to regain that place. Sergio De La Cruz got through on him not so long ago, and now Taylor is looking for revenge, and how close he is coming around the Parabolica right now. He should be able to make the dive, although not very impressive straight line speed. We were speaking to Simon Edwards after the race last week, and he said that this race, well, I remember him saying anyway, he might be wrong, but or I might be wrong, I should say. So we'll look at Guy Robson first before getting to that. Goes a bit, oh no, gets on the power a bit too early through the penultimate corner. Does well to keep it out of the pit lane, as strange as it is to say. Turns back around again. But yeah, I do believe anyway, Simon Edwards was going on about how this is going to be another one of those circuits where you've got to play that game, walk that line between straight line speed and downforce, because you need it down the parabolica, through the parabolica, down towards the hairpin if you want to make moves, but also you'll be suffering, especially in the final sector, if you go too low on the downforce. So very, very difficult equation for these guys to work out once again for what feels like the 9th week in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing with setups though, Ewan, isn't it? They're always a compromise. You know, there's never really, I don't think there's a perfect setup for the track. It's a setup that suits the car, suits the track, and suits the driver. So that's 3 different set parameters you work into there constantly, and everyone has a different driving style, so it's very difficult to get the perfect balance. And sometimes the drivers are compromising corner speed, sometimes compromising top speed, and it's always interesting to see which way around the guys want to do it with the setup.
Yeah, it's very important as well for your race. James Childers trying to make his way back through the field on a bit of a recovery drive really after being at the pit lane. Nice move there from Kirkman. Get down the inside of Jocelyn. These two came into contact earlier. Judging by the damage, I think it was Kirkman getting into Jocelyn there. You can see Jocelyn's rear end is a bit bent up, and Kirkman's front end is. So putting 2 and 2 together, they might have gone in that way round. But either way, it might happen again here. Hopefully not, as Jocelyn goes down the inside. Later on the brakes. Nice move. They both go so deep into the brake. They were pushing so hard. And a lot of desire to get to that corner first. And a lot of running out of road as well, I'm afraid, for the two of them. This battle getting quite heated between the two of them. And you can assume there's no love lost after their incident a little bit earlier.
No, absolutely, and this is another battle that seems to be going on and on and on. Darrell Taylor here, still trying to move up to 5th place at the moment, and just getting very, very close up behind, but they just don't seem to be able to find that opportunity. But I'm just going to jump back to Dave Kirkman, who's still in that slipstream of Jocelyn, and he's still trying to make a move back past, and contact again, tipped him around, and that's disastrous. Oh
dear, with that, surely he wasn't disqualified there for... He just seemed to, because he wasn't stopped there. You can only escape when you're stopped, surely. Oh, well, anyway, I don't know quite what went on there, but Kirkman is out of the race now. He's at the back of Jocelyn twice, and yeah, I do wonder if something else off camera went on between the two of them. Ray Peasley, by the way, came unstuck as well while we were looking the other way. He's had a fantastic start, by the way. I think he qualified 15th, but oh dear, got into the back of one of the cars in front of him. I think it might have been Colin Wynne.
It was indeed. Yeah, it was indeed. Yeah. I mean, it's the mistakes tonight, Ewan, that they're coming very much from misjudging braking points when following the car in front. I mean, it's, you know, I don't know, it's nothing new, is it? It just, maybe it's the speed they carry, and I don't know, but they're definitely there's a sort of a consistency with the types of mistakes this evening, and it seems to be braking issues in from the car behind running into the car in front. It's not good, really.
There's some very defined braking zones really at this circuit. You know, there's not a lot. You're kind of going, and then you're really stomping on the brakes to go into a slow speed corner. Like here, for example, you're stomping on the brakes. Even quite a flowing corner, you're stomping on the brakes a fair bit. Whereas for the last few weeks, like Suzuka, Watkins Glen, and Mosport, and even into Lagos to an extent, you've got more flowing corners where it might be just a bit of a dab on the brakes or a lift off, like this kind of corner, a little bit more often. So I just obviously. These guys will have been doing other radical races around and other races in other cars, no doubt. So, you know, that will obviously, it's not a fact of experience of braking zones again. It's not that kind of, it's not quite like that in real life. But, you know, these braking zones, you really are stomping on the brakes. And even at the speeds that they're going at the moment, even a centimetre or two late does turn into quite a few metres when you're going up to whatever they are at the top speed at the end of this straight, for example.
Yeah, indeed, you're quite right. But I think at the moment, what I'm taking from watching Darrell Taylor is he's definitely got the corner speed. He's carrying more speed through the corners. But as we can see there, even in the slipstream of Sergio, he didn't get the slipstream, didn't get the turbo. What he did do was get a better braking into that hairpin, and Sergio just he ran a little wide there, didn't he? And it cost himself that position. I think that was his mistake that lost that position. But yeah, I think this is a prime example of two very different setups.
It absolutely is. Now the key for the 84 car is to stay close enough to Taylor to be able to take him again towards the parabolica, because Taylor's straight line speed not very impressive at all. one of the slowest I've seen in the field, actually. I don't know if I've not been through everybody, but yeah, it's a little bit slow. He's really gone for that downforce. Is it going to pay off? He's already got 7 or 8 tenths of a second, so it might well just about be enough for him. But we'll have to wait and see down into the hairpin for the 9th time of asking already. Graham Brown leading this race, trying to become the 3rd race winner in this season. It's been John McCutcheon and Simon Edwards so far, but maybe Graham Brown can be the first non-previous champion to take a race victory in this season, 2022 season 1, of course. Mike Booson still recovering despite the damage on his car, doing a very good job here. Colin Wynne is next, and surely this is going to be a move into the hairpin, and maybe a fairly easy one at that. But you see what the straight line speeds are looking like here. The all important ones, of course. We are slightly around the bend here, but it's not too severe. And look at that, Bootson very good through the corners. Not quite as good on the straight, not quite as slow as Taylor, I might add, but he's able to pick up the slipstream there and brake a lot later with that extra downforce. Let's see what Wynne can do on the cutback though. Very nice line, good power down from him, and he's going to have the straight line speed here. Can he get alongside before the... Well, no, I think he's just lifted off there, really. And doesn't decide to go for it. I think he realises that Bootson might be a bit quicker at this stage, and he probably is, given where he qualified and the fact he's recovering from an earlier mistake.
Yeah, and absolutely, and Taylor's managed to make a break, to be fair. I think through the infield section, through the corners, he's managed to gap Sergio, and he's definitely pulling away, and that gap's opening out now, as you can see on the leaderboard. It's opening out to around about a second, so... just going to look at a quick replay now, Ewan, of Richard Brown.
Yeah, I wonder what happened here, because he is completely on his own. Unless he has had a brake failure at this point, but all looking fine. And it's just getting on the power a bit too early through the hairpin, or out of the hairpin.
And then we've got Guy Robertson as well. Guy Robertson as well.
Looks like it might be a similar thing, just losing it on the exit and looking the brakes to make sure he doesn't quite go into the wall in the exit of turn 10. Thankfully, he's got away with one there. So Martina Ward, completely where she qualified so far, 11th place, trying to break into the top 10. This is Graham Brown with an E, not the one leading the race. Slipstream at the moment for the 23 car, but not really getting anywhere here once again. Struggling to get through. It's a long straight, I know it is a curve technically, I suppose, but it's a long straight down towards the hairpin, and anybody with too much downforce on is really going to suffer here and struggle to get through, to be honest, because the rest of the circuit quite narrow from this point on, especially.
Yeah, I mean it is proving very difficult for the guys and girls to overtake around here, isn't it? You know, they're really just following very close and trying to create those opportunities. Unfortunately, those opportunities are coming through accidents most of the time, which is not what we want to see. But yeah, it's difficult. It's hard. I mean, I haven't driven here for years, I'll be honest. I do like the circuit, but it's I thought it might be a little bit easier to get some overtakes done here tonight. But I think the fact that there's been a few incidents at the start, it split the field up a little bit. I think that's, you know, it's made it it's a different race to what it could have potentially been, I think.
I think the splitting of the field has really contributed to that. I don't think it's overly the fact that it's people are struggling to overtake here, because there are plenty of opportunities. You might be able to just see one of them here, actually, with Sergio De La Cruz getting a fantastic exit, and Taylor outside, like he must be trying to defend the inside, but he's taking an awfully long route around this parabolica corner. He does want the inside line, but Cruz has just got this one on the brakes, has he? Well, Taylor can brake later, but maybe too late actually from him, trying to use that downforce to get ahead again, but he's not quite going to be able to do it with the exit he had there. Not quite good enough. Through the kink they go. Can Taylor do it again, or is Cruz going to get to the inside to defend? No, not quite. Taylor late on the brakes, but is it too late once more? No, not quite, and he slams the door. Aggressive defending there, but he needed to do it really, unless he wanted to spend ages stuck behind the 84 car.
Yeah, absolutely. Now he's got to do it all over again, hasn't he? He had that. We saw he had that gap out to just over a second, and Cruz has just closed that gap right down again. I'm guessing with the top speed that he's got down the all straight, but Yeah, Taylor, he needs to. I don't think he's got enough time on this lap, enough of this lap left to really extend that gap much. And I think Cruz will definitely be looking to put an overtake on him again once they get back out onto the straight.
Yeah, he'll certainly give it a go. Through the first turn they go. You just see how much he's struggling. And these, for me, by the way, are the most fascinating battles, the ones between those high downforce and low downforce cars. It might be a little bit strange when they're in exactly the same car, but yeah, you see these ones in other forms of racing where the trackline speed is humongous for some cars and the downforce is great for others. But it's a similar thing we're seeing here. Taylor trying to break the slipstream again. He's figured out a better way to cover the inside line and also take the good racing line. Outside line for Cruz. It looks like an action replay as we go late on the brakes with Taylor. Not quite as late this time though, so I think De La Cruz is going to have a much harder time getting through because he actually struggled last time and he got a much better exit. So let's see what happens down into turn 8. Inside line quite possibly, but there's no way through there, and Taylor might be clear now as long as he has a very good final or second half of the lap.
Yeah, he can get his head down now and try and build on that gap that he's got, although it's only 3/10, but he can try and build on it. But Cruz will definitely be trying to hang on there, and he is doing. As you can see, he's more through this infield section. Cruz is definitely on the ragged edge a lot more. That car does look looser, and as you say, it is an intriguing battle when you get the two slightly different setups on the same car, on the same circuit, and just watch them battle away, because it very much is about managing the lap, as it were, and trying to play to your strengths and avoid defend at the weakest areas. But Cruz doing a good job to hang on, but Taylor just doing a slightly better job at the moment to stay in front.
He's defending well. He can't afford mistakes. I think he will just about be clear at this stage. We just still need to defend, as Ray Peasley having a very good race here at the moment. 9th place for him. Plus 5 on where he qualified. Not the biggest mover forward in this race. That goes to Phil Jocelyn in 12th, having qualified only 18th. But yeah, Jocelyn has had troubles in this race. Peasley has had a much cleaner race. He's trying to make at this 1-5 up the order again. Colin Wynn is still in front of him, and here's the battle once more. Taylor and De La Cruz will not leave each other alone at this stage. Only 4 laps to go, including this one, by the way, as that's a very tight line from Peasley. He really doesn't want to make contact, and the two of them giving each other acres of space. And finally, Peasley is able to get through that hairpin. Some strange lines being taken into there, as we see. I'm afraid Guy Robertson not having the best of times today, and not making friends with turn 10. I'm afraid. Looks like a replay of a replay almost, but it isn't. He's had another one. As Tim Adcock has also had an issue somewhere. Yeah. I said about those sausage curves earlier, claiming another victim there, I am afraid. But there we are. Jocelyn gets pushed down by Jeff Child, who's recovered to 12th, and that might be all he gets today. But yeah, Taylor and De La Cruz don't look like, or that battle at least doesn't look like it's going to end until the very end of this race, really.
This is the overtake from for Child, so I just thought I'd take a look back at it while we were letting the action come back together, and just quite a simple move in the end, lots of space given and job done.
Yeah, lots of space given in that battle as well. There is Jocelyn trying to make amends. Michael, he's going to have a hard time holding back Michael LeMay, I think, as well. No disrespect to him, but Taylor. Now then, this could be the opportunity for Sergio De La Cruz, because he's ahead a lot earlier in the course here. Down that straight, he's a lot earlier through. He has been ahead into that braking zone before, but Taylor's been able to outbrake him and get back in front, but that's not going to happen this time. He's not got a very good exit at all there, so he's got to start all over again here. Taylor has got to figure out how he's going to get through on the 84 car in this. Well, he's only got 2 laps to do it here. He's got to find a way, though.
Yeah, and didn't Cruz, he went in really, really tight. He knew that Taylor was better on the brakes into that hairpin, but he didn't give him the opportunity to cut back. He went really tight, and great driving from both of them, but very good from Cruz there. As you can see now, Taylor's climbing all over the back of Cruz. He has got that corner speed, he's got that grip, but he can't use it, he can't make the most of it, he can't get past, and Cruz is defending now, and defending for his life, because he's going to come through these final couple of corners, and then he's going to hit this little bit of a straight down to turn 2, and this is where he's got to try and just pull away a little bit from Taylor and not let him into the break. So Taylor makes a bit of a mistake there. That could have cost him. I was thinking Taylor may be close enough to try and get on the brakes here, but he's not, is he? He's just too far back, and this could be Cruise's opportunity to just pull a little bit of a gap on him now.
I think he would have been close enough though, without that little wobble he had at turn 1. You can just see how hard he's pushing though. The way he hit the curb on the inside line there, got out of shape, saved the car well, but he's just going to see that car go away from him here down the parabolic. It's not out of sight, but he does need to ideally be in front at this point in the lap next time around, because I don't think he's going to be able to make a move in the final sector of the lap on the final lap. I think De La Cruz is going to be defending for his life through there, and so it's going to be much more difficult. But here's Graham Brown. I think a much easier time of things, I think it's safe to say. He's on the penultimate lap right now, 16 lap race, and it's been almost lights to flag from him ever since Paul LeMay got a poor start from the first position on the grid. Martin Booker briefly took the lead, but Brown was all too happy to get through very quickly, and looks like he might well cruise to a victory here. But who is it going to be out of these two? Taylor versus De La Cruz. You can just see how narrow it is here. He's going to struggle to get through here, is Taylor, especially on the final lap. And De La Cruz is going to be taking defensive lines into all of these corners. So what can he do? Out this final corner he goes.
This could be the interview of the season if we could get these two in at the end of the race, because they've been hammer and tong for most of this race, and they've had contact, they've had touches, but they've had the best battle, I think, by far out there this evening.
Yeah, they certainly have. Maybe of the season so far anyway. We've still got 3 rounds to go, of course, but this is turning into a classic battle between the two for 5th place in this race. Taylor out of turn 3 there, can't really do anything. He's, going to struggle to get that. Oh, and he's even blinking a little bit as well here. We lose everybody briefly, I think. Oh no, yeah. Back again. Jocelyn and Michael LeMay just battling away a little bit further down in the order. LeMay trying to get through here on the inside line, quite possibly on this final lap. Jocelyn defending, and then nearly contact between the two. Don't forget Jocelyn was in a heated battle with Dave Kirkman earlier on in this race, but unfortunately came unstuck earlier on. But through the final couple of corners comes Graham Brown. With just over a second of the lead, he's going to take this race victory at Hockenheim. Round 9 of the UK&I Radical Race Series goes to him, and he's the 3rd different race winner in this season. And in a classic battle further down, Sergio De La Cruz is going to hold on for 5th position ahead of Darrell Taylor. The two of them taking on what might well be called the battle of the season so far. Those two side by side almost every single lap. A fascinating battle between high downforce and low downforce. In the end, the low downforce prevailed with 5th position there as they all come across the line. A very, very good race indeed. There is, interestingly, Michael LeMay and Phil Jocelyn both out of this race. I wonder if they have come into contact on the very final lap.
Yeah, maybe. I'll have to have a look and see if I can find any replays of that. But yeah, definitely a really good race there, especially from Cruz and Taylor, and absolutely fantastic to see. Really enjoyed that one, and it absolutely flew by, did that race for me.
Yeah, the 16 laps, obviously not a long race either way, but very, very entertaining one, especially in that battle for 5th position, which was going on constantly throughout that one. We'll hopefully get a chat to a couple of these drivers after that race, and yeah, we'll hopefully get a few thoughts in. But yeah, there we are. Brown from Booker and LeMay all closing in, of course, on Simon Edwards, who's going to be taking this round as a drop round, presumably. It's his first time finishing outside the top 2, and I guess we can't really even call this one finishing outside the top 2, because after all, he is a DNS on the day. Graham Brown, though, is going to take advantage of that, and after a great start, took it home by 1.1 seconds ahead of Martin Booker. Paul LeMay is going to be disappointed with 3rd after qualifying on pole. Paul Clogg, a little bit of drift in 4th. Sergio De La Cruz and Darrell Taylor on our screens almost exclusively there in their battle for 5th. Mike Bousson, after a poor start and getting involved in 1 or 2 incidents, finished 7th. Colin Wynne was 8th ahead of Ray Peasley, who was the biggest mover forward today, finishing 9th. Graham Brown with an E finishes inside the top 10. Martina Ward finishes exactly where she started in 11th position. James Child outside the top 10 as well after his pit stop. Finishes 12th. Richard Brown 13th ahead of Guy Robertson, who was really having some troubles with turn 10. Tim Adcock, I'm afraid, went for a couple of problems as well in that one. And Phil Jocelyn and Michael LeMay retired on the very final lap of that race. So I think they may well still get the points, 16th and 17th, but they didn't finish. They didn't cross the line. Neither did Dave Kirkman or Christopher Kane, who didn't get very far in that one. So there we are. Hockenheim, 16 laps at Hockenheim complete in the UK&I Radical Race Series for 2022 in Season 1. And thankfully, we have Daryl Taylor waiting for us in the interview room. And yeah, we do want to speak to one of him or Sergio De La Cruz. And yeah, here he is with us now, joining us now. I'm not sure if he's quite ready to... Oh, here we are. Yeah, I think he's ready to talk to us. So welcome, Daryl. It's good to have you here. 6th place for you in this one. I have to say, we were watching you almost exclusively there in that battle you were having over 5th position. Just talk us through what it was like from your perspective, you know, seeing that car go away from you on the straights. Must be a very frustrating feeling, but how entertaining was that for you? Oh, yeah, maybe we can hear from him. We've unmuted him, and he's unmuted himself, but I'm not sure if something's going wrong down the line at some point. Seems there are... Oh, yeah, I think we're having some problems getting to hear Daryl at the moment. So, yeah.
Hello. There we go.
There we are.
Got
I
it.
can hear you now.
Yeah. Discord just decided to be weird. Yes, that was proper cat and mouse, that. He was obviously on the low downforce setup. I was on the kind of stock iRacing high downforce setup. I was having to back off through the twisty bits. So I was just kind of waiting for him to make a mistake. Then I made the mistake in the end. Got a load of kind of wheel spin out the twisty bits there, and he got me on the straight. So, but yeah, good fun.
Yeah, certainly. It's certainly good fun to watch. I mean, how do you decide in this situation? A circuit like this one, Hockenheim, is kind of that long straight down the back straight is very long, obviously, and you've got to think about the final sector, and you've got to think about everything else as well. So, how do you decide on which one to go for at the start of the day?
It's pot luck, really. Yeah, I've kind of tried going with the low downforce setups before, and it lost out on that. So I'm currently sticking with the iRacing ones, see how it goes. So yeah, happy enough with that.
Absolutely, and a very entertaining race, no doubt, in that one. So yeah, congratulations on P6, and we look forward to seeing you in the next few weeks for the next few rounds. But for now, we'll let you go. Thanks very much for coming to talk to us.
Lovely. All right, cheers then. Bye bye.
There we are, Daryl Taylor from 6th position in that race there. We've got a lot of people joining us today, which is good to see. We're hopefully going to get to speak to the podium guys now. So Graham Brown, first of all, winner from that race, of course, by just over a second ahead of Martin Booker and Paul LeMay, who we'll hopefully get to speak to as well. I'm not sure if Graham's quite ready to talk to us just yet, we'll... just hang on for a moment, but yeah, be interesting to find out what happened, especially early on in that race. Are you with us at the moment, Graham? Can you hear us? Can we hear you? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it for the moment, unless he doesn't realise he's muted, in which case. No, it does look like he's not here just for the moment, which is unfortunate. So let's just park that thought for a moment, shall we? And go to second place, Martin Booker for a start. See if we can speak to him, quite possibly. Oh, Graham's back again. Discord is having a strange time of things today. I must admit. Looks like everybody is struggling to actually talk to everybody else at the moment. Or at least they are in here. Because yeah. People are eternally muted, whether they're in here or not. So something strange is going on in Discord today, but here we are.
Yeah, something very strange because they are unmuted at our end, so but they're still showing the mute symbol in Discord, so out of our control at the moment. But yeah, unfortunate because it would really like to chat to these guys because we didn't see much of them on the stream, did we, Ewan? Because they literally, you know, they were set off, they romped off, and they did what they do best, led from the front, and you know, we were concentrating very much on those midfield battles that were really, really exciting this evening. But hopefully, looking like Martin's maybe got himself unmuted.
Can we maybe hear from him now? But still looks like we're having a few problems, to be honest, at the moment. But yeah, you're right. We really didn't see very much of the top three at all. It's very
really
high intensity kind of lap timing kind of going on.
Yeah, it's really interesting as a broadcaster as well because sometimes you do get criticised for focusing too much on the front guys, but tonight very much was the opposite. It was the midfield. I won't say that provided the only entertainment, but they provided the majority of it because the guys at the front did such a sterling job of just literally getting their heads down, and the gaps didn't really alter too much between them, and they brought it home pretty much from the first couple of laps after you know, getting their heads down and just stayed where they were.
Yeah. To be fair, somebody always has a complaint about how much we show the leaders, if that's too much or too little. So it happens. It's part of the business. If we can, are we possibly hear from Martin? I can. He's the symbol's flashing up and whatever. I don't know what he's lighting up at the moment. We're not hearing that much. Discord's not having a good time today. I'm not sure if it's.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now we can. There we are.
Aha! Yeah, the Discord's set to push to talk. It won't let me. Change any other settings. So I'm holding the button in at the moment. So if I disappear, you know what's happened.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure really what's happened there. But either way, we'll get to it now. Obviously, fantastic start for you. Getting off the line very, very well, getting into the lead, but weren't quite able to hold on in that one. Just talk us through the kind of the first few laps and what your start was like, because yeah, it was good.
Well,
clear into the lead, clear into the first corner.
The start was awesome. It was everything that came afterwards that unravelled pretty quickly. No, I just kept going deep into the corners, and I'd only really sort of practiced with that low downforce setup for the last 10 minutes or so. So on high fuel and low downforce, I was just going too deep into every corner, and it was only a matter of time really before Graham got past me. Once my tyres had got up to temp, I was sort of back on it again, but it would have been nice to have sort of kept the lead for a bit longer.
Yeah, and it was very close. You guys are kind of training lap times up front. Did you feel like that? You know, there's literally nothing I can do here. You were absolutely maxed out and still not really getting anywhere with that one, or do you feel like you still could have got closer if there were a few less mistakes or whatever?
No, I was hanging on. I was hanging on to Graham's coattails, and it was just keeping me ahead of Paul behind me. Made a mistake, sort of 2 laps on the ankle out of the curb, and thought Paul was going to get me, but no, it was the gap stayed sort of fairly consistent. Really, I couldn't catch Graham, and Paul couldn't catch me, sort of thing.
Yeah. It was all very close between you all, but yeah, it's still a decent result for you, second place on the day. So yeah, we'll congratulate you on that, of course, and let you go now. But thanks very much for coming to talk to us, and we'll see you over the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Here we are, Martin Booker from second position in that race here at Hockenheim. I know there are other people waiting, but considering how wrong the Discord is going at the moment, Well, we don't quite know what's going on at all, to be honest with you. But something is. So I think we should probably end it there, to be honest, because otherwise we're going to be fumbling around in Discord for a lot longer. But hopefully, in the last few rounds, we'll be able to talk to a few more of these guys. If they dump themselves in the waiting room, we'll have a chat somewhere along the line. But yeah, that looks like it's all for tonight. Hockenheim, very, very good race indeed, but still 3 to go as Simon Edwards continues his quest to become a 2-time UK&I Radical Race Series champion. Next week, same time, same place, we're going to be heading to Alton Park in the UK, then Barber Motorsports Park, and then the Nordschleife for the final race of this season. Make sure you join us for those, same time, same place as always. But for now, it's goodbye from us.